The judge says they could reach that, quote, magic number of 64 by the end of this week. And from there, the pool will be narrowed down to a dozen jurors and also 4 alternates. So let's talk now with our legal analyst, Latoya Shelton, a local attorney with 12 years of legal experience and much of that in the courtroom with criminal cases. We appreciate your joining us tonight. So the attorneys are still asking potential jurors questions to see which ones they want and which ones they don't. Today, the defense asked the judge to approve more questions. First of all, which question did he approve, and could that be significant?
So, technically speaking, there were a few that, well, here's the thing. What he wanted to make sure that everyone understood in the courtroom today is, one, there was a general questionnaire, right, that went out to all of these jurors. And this general questionnaire pretty much had most of these questions that the defense was asking to have to be able to ask again now. But the questions, they wanted to get a little broader with them. They wanted to ask additional questions after they had asked those. So the judge said, listen, one, the court has broad discretion as far as the voir dire process is concerned, period. So we have broad discretion. I've already given a lot of leeway with these questions. I've already allowed a lot of these questions to be asked. Arguably, with the case law in front of me, I've probably allowed a little bit too much leeway here. So what I'm going to tell you here now is, you can ask these questions, but for the most part, if they're objected to, they're possibly objectionable. And if they are objected to, I'll most likely sustain them. He did specifically permit, there was a question in reference to one of the jurors indicated that they'd done a Justice for Ahmaud rally or something like that, and they believed in it and they moved forward with that. So one of the questions was, can we include Justice for Ahmaud? So the judge said, well, that original questionnaire had Black Lives Matter in it. So there's no problem with adding Justice for Ahmaud in there.
Thanks, Michelle. Now let me ask you about this number 64. We keep hearing it called the magic number 64, however you want to term that. They want it to narrow down to 64 potential jurors. Why the number 64?
So 64 is the magic number that the judge wants to have, so that once each side has or does exercise each of their preemptory strikes, we want to make sure that we still have the real true magic number that we need at the end of 12 jurors plus 4 alternates.
Ms. Shelton, when do those strikes begin to kick off the potential jurors that each side doesn't want?
That each side doesn't want. So the strike process will begin once we get to the magic number of 64. Once we have that pool of 64, the judge is going to say, go ahead and exercise your strikes. Defense in this case gets 24 strikes. That's 8 per defendant. There's 3 defendants. The state gets 12 preemptory strikes, and then there are 12 for the alternates, 3 apiece, which gets you to that number of 48. So if everybody exercises all of those strikes, then we have 16 left. So we have our jury and we have our alternates.
All right, we do appreciate your legal insight. Ms. Shelton, thank you so much for following the trial along with us. And we will continue to make sure you're up to date on everything happening in the court in Brunswick. You can always check it out on firstcoastnews.com or our First Coast News app. Also, you'll see on there answers that potential jurors are giving to questions from both sides. Plus, we have been, of course, we will continue streaming the entire trial from gavel to gavel.